The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Welcome to Stirring the Cauldron on the Para X Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
Hey, merry meet everybody, and welcome to a little New Year's Eve cauldron stirring tonight. Now, where I am, we've still got 6 hours to go before we ring in the new year. And for those of you on the East Coast, it's 3 hours and counting. But for my guest tonight, who lives across that big Atlantic pond, it's the wee hours of New Year's Day. But wherever you are and whatever time it is, I'm so blessed to be spending my evening with you, and also with one of my favorite people, and one of the UK's most popular psychics and astrologers, my friend David Wells. Good morning, David, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. I love that song. I love that music.
The Aquarius, yes.
I love it. I love it.
We did that in your honor.
Thank you.
Well, you know, here in the States, we have this very lovely crystal ball drop down and count the new year in New York's Times Square, where like a bazillion people gather to ring in the new year, and twice that many sit home and watch it on TV. Is there a similar iconic attraction in the UK like that?
Well, I think not so much countdown, but most people will gather either in Edinburgh or London for big celebrations, and Cardiff, obviously in Belfast and the city centres. I think for me, being a Scot, the iconic one has to be Edinburgh, and it closes down for days. And the whole, if you've ever been to Edinburgh, the Princess Street, not Princess Street, as some people call it, Princess Street, is completely closed, and you have an orchestra one end and a rock group the other, and in between you'll have, steel drums. There's this, you've just gone at New Year's there was this massive fireworks display tumbling down the walls of the castle and the orchestra. It's just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Wow. Are you, one of those traditionalists who has the same routine every New Year's Eve, or, do you just kind of wing it?
I kind of wing it. I have a friend who has a party, and just hoiking off of that now. But I tend to sober. I tend to.
Oh, what a shame!
I do kind of wing it. Sometimes, actually, Marla, I really like the peace and quiet of being on my own, and sometimes I like to be with friends. It just depends on the mood, how exhausted I am with work, or how many people phone me up and say, "Oh, come on, get out old misery guts and get on with it." Really.
Is that your nickname, Misery Guts?
On New Year's Eve, sometimes, yes.
I kind of like that. Well, you've got some really great things coming up this year, which we will get into in just a bit. But first I want to talk a little bit about your new book, which is almost brand new, like a month old, right?
Yeah.
I think it came out in November. And it's called David Wells' Psychic Secrets. But first off, I just have to say that I was quite appalled to find out that there are secrets out there that I know nothing about. and so, that just kind of put the kibosh on it right there. But in the book, you examine real-life experiences to uncover the extraordinary truth behind psychic events, things like what really causes possessions, why is visualization and meditation so important, and the extraordinary power of past life regression. And, it's interesting, I had a noted psychiatrist on my show last week who came upon past life regression quite by accident. He uses hypnotherapy to regress his patients back to childhood. And in one instance, he took a woman back several lives instead. It completely shocked him. He had a pencil and paper, he said, and asked her what year it was. And she grabbed the pencil almost like someone would grab something that was going to write something in the sand rather than paper. She wasn't familiar at that moment with what a pencil was. And when he asked her what year it was, she kind of held the thing and wrote the Roman numerals IV.
Wow.
Yeah, which was kind of neat. And that got him into explaining or understanding past lives and stuff. But how do you explain the cause or causes?
Well, I mean, someone like me is always going to say, well, don't overcomplicate it. Don't, over-egg the pudding. Past lives is a past life memory. Mm-hmm. End of. And I think when people find them, I think it's kind of like Brian Weiss always, he found this as well, didn't he? He found it quite by accident when he was regressing people, well, he was doing the same sort of therapy. For me though, it's always been there, and it's an extraordinarily powerful tool. If you haven't had one done, have one done, be it hypnotherapy or be it through guided visualization, however it works for you, have it done. If you're on any kind of spiritual path at all, it should be an integral part of your learning, because it can uncover so much, and it will strengthen you, and you can find and discover things about yourself that you'd never known, or did you? Like you've always known, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, the one that I didn't know what to do with this woman. She came to me, and you know what it's like, Marla. You have to learn to trust your intuition.
Right.
She came to me for another book signing, my last book before this one, and she said to me, can I have a word with you afterwards? And that often happens. And then she told me that her son had died in a car crash. Her son was only 21. And ordinarily, the next question would be, is he okay? Can you see him around me? Mm-hmm. Instead of which, she actually said to me, can I just ask you, do you think we'll have longer together next time? And I thought that was an interesting question.
Yeah.
And I can't say yes or no, and how could I quantify it if I could,
Mm-hmm.
So she said, is there anything you can help me with? And I thought about it, and I thought, do you know what? Yes, I'll come and see you and your husband. I'll come and pay you a visit. And even to knocking on the door, I didn't know if it was going to be shaking chicken bones, knocking up a bowl of soup, or doing whatever. I really didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down, and it sort of seemed appropriate to do a past life regression. We did the past life regression, and it in itself was a good regression, and she saw some reasons why she has these fears of her children, losing her children. She had great fears, even with Lee in the very beginning. She always kind of knew it, that he would go early. But it wasn't so much the regression. This woman had suffered. I mean, she really, what mother wouldn't? Anybody wouldn't, Mm-hmm. And the next day she leapt out of bed full of like, I've got to do this and I must do that. And there was no forgetting Lee. I mean, he's huge, still very, quite rightly big in her life. Mm-hmm. But her attitude shifted completely. And it was that change that was, it was possibly the most dramatic past life regression result that I've ever had. Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary.
Well, I think a lot of people kind of think they know what that's all about. You hear over and over again that the DNA that you've had all these lives, you continue to have. You're the same person, different body, but you still use those things that happened in the past life to form future lives. And it's always a good thing to be able to understand why we are the way we are and some of the hang-ups that we have or some of the fears and everything. But when I was talking to the psychiatrist the other day, it just kind of came to mind. I asked him this, and I'll ask you this too. Are there people that may not be ready to face those past lives? And how do you determine who is or may not be?
I think you're absolutely right. There's lots of people who aren't ready for it. You don't have to determine anything. If they come through your door and ask you for one, they're ready for it.
Okay.
Or, simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or if they sit down and you begin the process and they can't find that life or can't get into it, then I don't push it. I don't say, well, you'll lie there until you get a past life, young lady. It's, if they're not ready, it's very clear. It's very clear straight away. And, or I always say to people, in lectures, because they will say, how do I know? It's the very fact that you've come to a lecture to understand more about past lives tells me that you're interested and that you want to have one. Mm-hmm.
And I think I could be wrong, but I think there are a great many people who don't believe it and won't ever even question it. And again, that's not their life path, and they may not get to that for another 2 or 3 lives.
Absolutely, and that's fine. The worst thing is someone who says, "Oh, I don't believe in it," is for you to then go, "Well, I think you should have one," and badger them. I always say, "Well, have one and see how you feel." And a few people do say, "Oh, okay, then I'll give it a go," and I think that's great. And some will go, "Oh, I don't know," and I say, "Well, that's fine." And the same with, you go and see a therapist and you have a past life regression, and it goes really well, and the therapist says, "I think you need to 10 more." I'm not telling someone they need any more. You want more, you come and see me,
Well, I think the difference is, people that say you need 10 more of anything are just in it for the money.
Sure.
Bottom line, that's why. I think and again, I could be wrong, but I think when we do have a regression, the things that we need to know do come out then. There may be a couple of things you need to pick up later on, but I think the brunt of it comes out when you're asking for it the first time. So no point in going back and back and back and back.
Well, unless, how it does work sometimes if you go back again is particularly if you're on a spiritual path and you want to understand your soul more, it's a great way of communicating your soul, particularly if you're not, some people aren't that great at visualization, or maybe their mediumship skills aren't their biggest skill, but maybe astrology is or something else. And what I find is when people have a past life regression, they go back into the true seat of their soul, and they relax enough to become this huge channel, and they use the energy of the therapist as well, so it kind of gives them a boost. And you also find a thread. If you can find 3 or 4 lives, you will find a thread between those lives that weaves them. So, for example, all of my lives have been, not all, but a lot of my lives have been secular. I've been, an oracle, I've been a priest, I've been a monk. I've always been locked away somewhere. Some may say I need to be locked away now. But, that's the common thread. That is the common thread, has been spiritual learning and spiritual teaching.
Well, I still, and I'll repeat this again, I still think you had at least one past life as a witch. You know far too much about paganism to not have that.
I think I've had many lives as witches, and I love that. I teach at Witch Fest here in England. We have a festival in November. It's called Witch Fest. And I love it. It's my favourite festival of the year. And I go out on stage, there's about 500 pagans in this auditorium.
Yay.
And I always start by saying, "My name's David Wells and I'm a pagan." And it's like, wow. I love it. Love them.
I just love drawing people out of the broom closet. Even if it's in your past life, I'm drawing you out. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the things in the book. We've got about 5 minutes before the break, but one of the things I want to get into right now is possession. It's a hot topic these days. Everybody and their brother claiming to be a demonologist, seeing a demon around every corner. And you do write about it in the book. So in your opinion, do you really think there is such a thing as possession, true possession, and what the cause might be?
I have had a very swift experience, and I talk about it in the book, when I was almost haunted, and I let my guard down. It was about 2 minutes. That's a lie, actually. It's about half a minute. But 2 minutes the whole scenario kind of works out at. And I have to tell you, Mona, if that's what it's like, then no one can sustain it for long. But that just half a minute of actually losing myself completely. And I was bereft. I was crying for days. I couldn't sleep. I felt violated. Wow. There's just no way that your soul or your body would allow that to happen for a long period of time. Like you, I suspect, I'm not big on demons. Sometimes it's an excuse. A demon made me do it. Well, marvelous. A demon made me eat those cakes. I've got one of those living around me all the time then.
Me too.
It's me that eats the cakes. I'm not shifting the blame. It's about experience, I haven't, and touch wood, I don't particularly want it if it is there, but I haven't had the experience where I've come face to face with something that I can put my hand on my heart and say, that is a demon, it's non-human, and it is evil. I have never seen that in my life, so I can't comment on it,
Yeah, that's one. I have so many soapboxes, David, that I climb on all the time, but that seems to be one of them right now, that everybody is seeing demons. And I get annoyed at people who claim to be demonologists and aren't. I get annoyed at people who claim to be witches and are not. People will grab a title because they think it's very cool. or you know, it's the title du jour kind of thing. And just so much of this demonology. I mean, yes, I like the little evil elementals around. I mean, you know, things like that. People often mistake a really disgruntled spirit, you know, for a demon. I just don't think there's been a good explanation, and a lot of people say possession is just having to do with somebody being mentally off, and I don't totally agree with that either. But it's just, you know, you mentioned it in the book as, you know, one of the truths or one of the untruths to come up, so.
Well, for me, it's just about possession I think it's possible, but I think we have a natural defense. If we didn't, then we'd all be walking around the supermarket going, you know, if we didn't have a natural defense, would we? We have it. And you have to believe in it and get yourself another cake and just admit it's you that wants to eat it, no demon here.
That's it. Cakes are just, you know, the cure-all for everything. Evil. Yeah, cure for all evil. Cakes, chocolate, and a cup of tea. I think that works really well. Well, on that happy note, we're going to take a quick break, so we'll be right back after this.
Marla Brooks will be right back after these brief messages. If you listen to only one paranormal show this week, then tune in to CAPS Paranormal Radio. But if you're going to tune into 2 shows this week, then tune into Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks. However, if you're going to tune into 25 shows or more this week, then make sure you catch Ghostology with Brian and Anna Marie, Friday nights from 10 till midnight, or watch them live on GTV. Side effects of listening to Ghostology with Brian and Anna Marie include painful belly cramps and uncontrollable fits from laughing too hard and the occasional warts. If laughter lasts more than 4 hours, consult your doctor right away. Ghostology with Brian and Anna Marie, Fridays, 10 to midnight. It'll either kill ya or cure ya. Either way, you'll be happy you watched. Tune in to The Paranormal View with Henry and Beth, Saturdays for a frank discussion on everything supernatural.
Everyone loves to hear a good educational debate, don't they?
The Paranormal View with Henry's fresh perspective and Beth's 20 years of investigative experience. They tackle the topics you want to hear.
Any topic considered paranormal could be covered during the show.
Seeking answers. Presented in a roundtable style, The Paranormal View brings together experts, enthusiasts, and listeners with varied points of view.
We're not here to try to persuade either one of the sides to believe like the other one.
The real and the unknown. They also bring together believers and skeptics in their regular series called The Skeptic Tank.
You know, sometimes you have to be on the other side of the fence, don't you?
That's true.
The Paranormal View. That's every Saturday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, with Henry and Beth.
It's going to be a great show.
The Paranormal View, where every point of view is welcome.
All right, that sounds good.
I'm Simon Cowell for Peter. Far be it from me to be critical, but I find it really appalling that this year thousands of dogs will die of heat stroke inside parked cars. Their people thought that little errand would only take a minute, or it wasn't that hot. But delays happen, and temperatures inside a car quickly rise in summer, even when the window's cracked. Never, ever leave your dog inside a parked car. Your dog idolizes you. In warm weather, keep him safe at home.
Welcome back to Stirring the Cauldron. Now, once again, here's Marla Brooks.
We're here with David Wells, everybody, and we're talking about his book, David Wells, Psychic Secrets. And we're going to get into a couple other goodies, too, as we go along. But, David, as an astrologer, you're dealing with science for the most part, and by that I mean interpretations are personal and nobody's perfect. But still, astrology is a science, and it's pretty much black and white. And then in the psychic and paranormal worlds, we live in the gray area where much is speculation and nothing is carved in stone. Is it easy for you to jump back and forth between those two worlds?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I tend to look at the chart as a document really for seeing. So some people may use runes, some people use tarot, and I certainly use tarot, and you can combine it with astrology, where it's beautifully with astrology. But I see it as a predictive tool, really, more than anything, a divination tool. The science is involved in plotting the chart. As you know, Marla, you're what, Leo rising, isn't it? Is it Leo rising? You?
I'm not. I don't know.
I can tell you are. Leo rising.
Am I prancing around like a lion?
Well, no, because I've got your chart in front of me. That kind of. And of course, juicing up your dreamy hair. That's a very Leo rising thing.
True,
Fussy about your hair. But it tells you these bits of information. Like you said, it's in black and white. The beauty of astrology, for me, combining it with your psychic ability, because you can, is that the timing thing. As you said, intuitive work can sometimes be a bit grey area. It's sort of, in the next 6 months you're likely to, sort of thing. With astrology, you can say, okay, I can see that this is happening. You've got a 3-week window. That's when something is going to happen. Then you use your intuition to find out exactly where that's going to be, So it's a combination of intuition and the sciences and the drawing up of the chart and the angles of the dangles, really,
Mm-hmm.
But I thought you would have known your chart, Marla. I'm surprised.
I'm so, never mind. No, I really don't. I mean, I know I'm a Cancer, and,
well done.
Well done. Yeah, that's a good start. And that's, I think astrology kind of confounds me a little bit. And so many houses.
Yeah.
And so many meanings. I mean, as you know, I do tarot, and, that's hard enough to catch up in and pay attention to. So I think I know I have lots of Cancerian traits, which can be both good and bad.
Well, you have lots of Leo traits. You should have, and your moon is in Gemini. So your Gemini moon is the communication side of yourself. Mm-hmm. So Gemini moons are communicative, and yours is in the 10th house of career. So you're in a perfect job doing what you do now, communicating.
This is good.
So that's a good thing. It's a very good thing.
At least I know I'm on the right path.
Yeah, at least you're in the right job. You're coming up for a Saturn return, though, in the next couple of years, aren't you? A year and a bit, you're coming up for a Saturn return. So that's about a shake-up, changes. Saturn's just moved into Libra, which is where yours is. So a few shake-ups, a few changes, and he has been going through your first house as well over the last 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. So I suspect they've been interesting.
Kind of sounds like the Tower card in the tarot deck, huh?
Yeah, well, the Tower card is really Mars. Mars is the Tower card. He, for years, in the 3rd house in Scorpio, so is a lady who speaks her mind.
Who, me? Never.
Never. Jamais. Of course it's not true.
No! Grab a cake real quick, stuff my mouth with it, then I can't speak the truth.
But I mean, you've got good stuff. Mars is currently going through Leo, unprecedented 8-month visit, normally there for a month and a bit. Now as he goes through, he's going to hit Pluto, and he's also going to hit, what's that one there? That one's Mercury. Yeah, I should know that one. He's going to hit those two planets.
Ooh.
Lots of subconscious stuff going on for you, so a big awakening for you. In fact, I should think you're probably right in the middle now of a massive awakening where your powers are increasing tenfold.
Yeah, actually they are.
Yeah.
Which is lovely, and I was going to say it's about time, but then I also know when the time is right, that's when it happens. So,
sure enough.
Just sit there and live with it. We're going to get back to astrology in just a second, because I know you have some good stuff or interesting stuff for the new year.
Yeah, it's a funky year.
But I want to ask you about your experiences in writing your book, because, when we all set out to write a book, we do it for different reasons. As you well know, life is a learning process, and just when you think you've got it all figured out, something new pops up. And I'm curious to find out what you've learned during the process of writing this book.
That time is precious.
Or that you have none. Yeah.
Have no time. In writing this particular book, I think what I really learned, when I set out to write it, the title changed halfway through, and that has a big effect on what you do. It started off as David Wells Investigates. So there was a lot of the paranormal investigation stuff in it. Then it was changed to David Wells Psychic Secrets, and I wanted people to understand how you can bring your psychic and intuitive abilities into real life. Anything with the word secret in it at the moment, you know where I'm going with that one, is all a bit, fantastic book. I mean, incredible, and I love all that. However, I wanted to make it more practical. I wanted to make it really, truly punchy day to day, but also incorporate the psychic side of it. That was the important bit. Mm-hmm. For me, the learning was that if you sit down quietly, because there were several cases I didn't know what I was doing with it, and if you sit down quietly and listen to what you're being told or asked to do, then the answer will come, and the answer will be the right one, and it will be supported when you take action on it. So the case of the past life I mentioned earlier, and also the one of Kathy and her little disabled boy who was just adorable, little Brandon. I had no idea. Where'd you go with that when a woman comes to you and says, my son is disabled, he had brain damage, and communication with him was negligible, it truly was, but she was aware that he could see someone or something in the house. Turned out to be her father, I think it was, or grandfather, and that wasn't what Brandon was on, and Brandon was able to see completely differently from the rest of us. He could see, certainly in my opinion, he could see auric bodies, because he always wanted to touch your hair. Well, he wasn't touching your hair, he was touching your crown chakra, because that's the lively one,
Right.
So for me, I think the journey for that book was, you can, if you want to, use your abilities every single day of your life if you choose to. Mm-hmm. That really was it.
And it's a shame a lot of people don't choose to, or don't even look to see if there's a possibility, in their minds.
But we was guilty. I mean, I'm as guilty as anyone, and that's what woke me up to it. I mean, I do, meditate in the morning, then I get myself off to work, I have the porridge, I sit at my desk, and I write. And I come home like everyone else, I'm exhausted, Mm-hmm. And, you forget that actually if I want to attract towards me maybe some peace and calm at the weekend, if I sat down and meditated on that and attracted it towards me, I could have that, but I forget. And I find myself at the weekend doing as much as I am during the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, we're all as guilty, I think. Unless you live in LA, of course.
Oh, please. We're the guiltiest of all. But it's fun.
Yes, right. It's -3 here or something ridiculous. That's all I'm thinking about.
Oh my God. Well, all right. Here's the misconception, and I'm gonna gripe about this one more time. We went out last week to do an investigation. Sunny Southern California. It was at night, and I don't have winter clothes. Most people out here don't, or at least I thought they didn't. And we went out, did an investigation in a hotel that everything was outside. We had to walk for miles. I mean, it was acres and acres, and everything was outside. And I had the Melmeter with me, and it was 37 degrees. And it was 37 degrees the whole night, and I was freezing to death. And so now, that's my poor sob story about that. And I know Mike just sent me a note in private chat. Oh, sheesh, poor Marla got cold. I know he's tired of hearing it because I really did pitch a fit about it. But
don't you have drive-through ghost hunting? Come on, you've got drive-through everything else.
Just about. This one we had to hoof it. It was amazing.
Oh, shocking.
It was shocking, yeah. And I mean, and more shocking was that a lot of the people that were there actually had, like, ski clothes on, winter clothes, gloves.
No.
Yeah.
37 degrees.
Oh, David, 37 is like sub-zero here.
Oh, I'd be in my bikini. There's an image.
Next winter, you're invited to come and let's do this. I want to see this.
You don't.
No, I do.
You believe in demons then if you saw that.
Well, see, we have to prove these points here and there. But, okay, so when you set out to write this book, was it because there was so much misinformation out there that needed correcting, or did you uncover some new answers to old beliefs?
Well, I think there's, for me, it was a lot of people were trying to pigeonhole someone like myself, because, like we said earlier about labels and things, people trying to do that.
Yeah.
And I fight it every way I can, they say, what shall I call you? And I go, astrologer, psychic. Actually, just call me David Wells, because that is actually my name.
Right.
And I wanted people to see that it didn't matter what label you put on it. It didn't matter what it was, or what you were actually doing was using your human gifts. You were using your birthright as a human being to be able to tap into this wonderful energy that's everywhere around us. I wanted people to see that there were techniques, there was methodology in it. However, that their personal creativity was what was important, and that no matter if you're a checkout girl or you are the Dalai Lama, you are as entitled to connect to universal energy as anybody else. That's what I wanted people to see, really.
That they're entitled, and they can. Maybe,
absolutely.
Also. Because I'm sure a lot of people think that they don't have that capability, you know. I mean, you hear it all the time, well, I'm not psychic, or I don't have the sixth sense. Everybody else does but me. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the reason that they don't, is the wall that they've built up around them. So they can't. They've convinced themselves they can't.
Yeah, you're right, and I do hear that all the time, and I'm probably like you. I jump on it straight away and say, whoa, hang on a minute, whoa, hang on a minute. And they're always the ones that I do, some exercise and things that I do, investigations. They're always the ones I pick on, the ones that say, I can't do it. They're the ones often sitting there going, oh, we can't get out. Oh. By the end of it, they're like, why did you open this door? But hey, you're psychic. Jog on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just live with it and enjoy it, because, I mean, it's a wonderful world out there, and I think so many people are missing it that, and only because they don't realize, or they think, I think everybody has a little bit of an inferiority complex about something.
I agree.
And, you see all these people on television and, and on radio shows and things like that, and everybody says, oh, I wish I could be like them, or whatever. But then on the other hand, and now I'm going to get evil, there are people that think they're so much better than they are, and make a great deal of noise about that as well. So it just kind of, works both ways, I think. And I have to be nice on New Year's Eve, so I better shut up. But, I don't know, people are very funny. I mean, we all are, we're all quirky, we're all interesting, we're all lovely people. And it just kind of sometimes, I just hate it when people don't live up to their potential because they think they can't. I guess maybe that's where I'm going. Yeah,
I mean, that's the reason I changed the workshop schedule for 2010, is to just put in a lot more empowering workshops that says exactly that. You can do whatever it is you want to do, It's important that people understand with a little tiny bit of knowledge and know-how, it can open extraordinary amount. Even just knowing that you're now a Leo rising, now you're Leo rising, your moon is in Gemini. When you hear the words Leo and Gemini in any astrology, it has to be affecting you in some way.
See, this is what I like about talking to you about this stuff, because you take something that is seemingly complicated and you make it simple. You make it easy. I mean, you said that, and I went, God, I'm an idiot. Why didn't I think of that? I mean, it's just like that, and all your books are like that, and I do want to mention, there are several books of David's out there. The last 3, I believe, are on past lives, yes? Or 2 on past lives, and then the other one is developing your psychic skills.
Yeah.
And, for anybody that thinks that they're going to be reading textbooks and have to learn and study, and it's going to mess up their heads trying to figure this out, David is such a good teacher, and this has to do with all his past lives, right, David? But everything is just, it's so cut and dry and so easy, and I'm always out there touting anybody who asks questions about past lives or psychic skills, get David's books, because they're the perfect primer, and written in such a way that everybody can understand and make sense of it and take away a great deal. And I think that's really important. And speaking of taking away, we're going to take away my yammering for a moment. We're going to go to another break. So we'll be right back with David Wells right after this.
Welcome back to Stirring the Cauldron. Now, once again, here's Marla Brooks.
Okay, we are back with David Wells. All right. Well, listen, it's New Year's Eve. The world's economy is in a mess. Politically, things are shaky all over. Wars rage on. The planet is in an unhealthy state. So, astrologically, what do you see coming up for the new year? You said it's going to be kind of a crapshoot, huh?
It's going to be an interesting one. You know, there's this planet called Jupiter, which I'm sure you've heard the name. Now, once or twice. He's the biggest in the zodiac. If you added the mass of all the other planets, so that's not the sun and the moon, they don't come to the same size as Jupiter. So we see him as astrologically as expansive, as a gift giver, as a lucky planet. Now, traditionally, he will change signs every year, so he takes 12 years to move all the way around. However, this year, he's moving through 3 signs. He starts in Aquarius, he moves into Pisces, then he moves into Aries, then he moves back into Pisces. So that's really unusual. But what's even more unusual, he's traveling with a new friend. He's traveling with Uranus. Now, Uranus takes 88 years to go all the way around.
Oof.
Yeah, it's quite a while. Now, Uranus is going to be in Aries with Jupiter. That's sort of between June and August. Now, if good luck is Jupiter, Uranus is the electrical planet. He's shock, surprise, change. He rules Aquarius, and if you know Aquarians, they change all the time, don't they? Change their mind, change direction. They're quite erratic. So you've got these 2 planets holding hands for most of the year, either in Pisces or in Aries. So it's a year of big changes, big surprises, particularly because of Uranus's affinity with technology. That's where it's going to happen. Lots of technological breakthroughs, lots of scientific breakthroughs as well. He's a scientific planet too. But on a personal basis, if you know what your rising sign is and you know the houses, you can work back. So, for example, Romana, this is going to affect you in your 8th to 9th house, which is about, again, that spiritual awakening. But it's also because the dip back is going to be about relationships too. It's going to be about changes within relationships for you. But Jupiter's a lucky planet, so it's all good luck, it's all good fortune. So if you know your rising sign, you can figure out where it's going to be. On a cosmic level, on a world stage, there will be, I think, some major shakedowns. There'll be some major shakedowns of governments. In particular, Saturn is moving backwards and forwards in Libra. There'll be changes to the way that we perceive the laws of the land, quite literally the laws of the land, and we will have a greater say in that, I think. So there.
I like it. It's about time things start to change because...
Well, they have changed. I mean, America last year, with Barack Obama, massive. That's still in its infancy. That's a very, very basic, it's still in its very, very germinating time. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's got to blossom, and this year will start to blossom.
Good. I'm happy. Because things need, and everybody is so concerned about 2012, and everybody thinks, it's going to be the end of the world and all that stuff. And
I don't agree, but...
No, I don't either. A lot of people that I've spoken to, and I'm sure you'll probably say the same thing, it's more like a time of awakening, a time of change. Okay. The planet isn't going to blow up. We're not going to have to all go undercover. But there are a lot of people out there that are just talking about doom and gloom, and everybody's going to have to sit home with a shotgun because things are going to get so ugly and this and that. And I really believe it's much more spiritual rather than physical, the changes. And they may be subtle enough that people won't realize it even. But I just
agree with you.
Kind of worry that people are taking it the wrong way and getting their backs up and they're going to make more trouble than 2012 deserves at this point. But
it's always helped by a good movie though, isn't it?
Yes. Thank goodness for Hollywood. We bring out the worst and the best. Mostly the worst. Well, you've got a couple of good bits of news coming up for the new year. One of them is a cruise. You're going to be crossing the pond and starting a cruise here. Let's hear about it. I'm liking this already. You're going back to your naval days.
Well, not quite. I'm going to be running around the wardroom serving dinner to the officers, I hope. I actually did a similar cruise in 2009 on Freedom of the Seas from Miami, but it was a personal one, so I took some time out, which I absolutely loved. Didn't think it would, but I loved it. This year, this is a working one. It's on the 13th of June for a week, and it's the Caribbean on the Liberty of the Seas, which is a massive ship, so sister ship to Freedom. So it's the one with the wave thing on the back. You can go surfing and all sorts. Not that I did.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you should.
Well, I didn't. I was too busy in Johnny Rocket shoving a burger down my face, quite frankly. So I'm going to do that. And on a sea day, so when you're at sea, there's still time to sunbathe, so don't panic. But when you're at sea, I'll be teaching, there's 3 full days and there's a half day of teaching, and I'll be covering things like tarot, astrology, past life work. So it's like a psychic development cruise, really. So as well as getting all the benefits of the locations, St. Martin, I think, Labadee, Miami. And then you get also this, you get spiritual workshops on the sea days. So, and, obviously, I'll be spending time with people, having cups of coffee, usually eating, probably having pizza.
It all goes back to food, David. This is the world we live in. When we finish meditation or anything like that, we do, when I do spell work, ground yourself with food.
Well, you know what it is, man. You can't do it when you don't have a physical body, so you have to do as much of it now.
Hey, good thought. Now that's my next excuse. Okay, why are you grabbing that second piece of pie? Well, because I may not have it soon. Not soon, God forbid, but,
Not too soon.
Not too soon, but we just, it, no matter what. I know after the investigation last week, my friend Jenny and I, what did we do? We didn't drive home. We stopped at some place to have a midnight snack. You do. Just had to be to refresh.
Of course you do. It's exactly what you do. But that's the details of that are on my website. So if you click on there, you get through to the details. But you know what? It would be great to see people, and I think I'm particularly excited because there was a choice between there wasn't a choice. It was either going to be the Mediterranean or the Caribbean. Hey, much of a choice. But it means that there's a big share of the American market really coming on it, and I love that. I just love their enthusiasm. I love the questions. I love the fact that they're really not that they aren't over here. They definitely are over here, but there's that extra kind of sparkle,
Good. I'm glad that we sparkle.
Definitely sparkle.
Oh, give us everybody. You're saying they're on the website. Give everybody your website address, please.
It's www.davidwells, which is all one word, .co.uk, so it's .co.uk.
And speaking of that website, this is the other little bit of news that when people go to your website, you are starting to do astrology readings from there. Personal astrology readings.
Yeah, you can order a chart. You can order a chart online. It's been a long time coming, and lots of people have been saying, why don't you do charts? I don't do them. I haven't been doing them because of the time factor. It's really, it's a big one. But I've found a way to streamline it, and there's different levels you can have there of it. But even if, the thing about it is, even if you find out that your rising sign, your moon sign, and you know your sun sign, it's just little bits of information that really help you. Where the north node is, where the south node is, will give you some past life information. Where your path of fortune is, will let you know where you'll find the most fulfillment in this life. Just little details that aren't complicated, and you get a little legend so you know what all the symbols mean. So it's not just, here's this chart which looks like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
It's explained. It is explained to you and methodically explained. So, and also, if you've got great gift for new babies, people say kids that don't come with a handbook, actually they do come with a handbook. They do. But it's like, when you get a new DVD, what do? Handbook, chuck that. How do you work this? I can't do that. What's this button do? It's the same with kids. We don't even get the handbook. We don't bother opening it. And then we go, oh, okay, what do I do with this kid now? They do come with a handbook.
It's a very valid point. What great gift for an expectant mum.
New baby.
For a bridal shower.
I can't quite do it expectant, but new babies, when they arrive, I can do that.
Well, yeah, you know what I meant.
There is a conception. Some people do conception astrology, though. So they take the point of conception.
Well, I like the fact that people can find out a little bit about their past lives from astrology. That's something. See, I just learned. You just taught me something else.
You can find people, a good astrologer will look at your chart and be able to tell you more than just a little bit about your past lives. There's a whole branch of past life astrology. So the thing with that, though, is I think if you have a past life, go for the experience and get the past life yourself. Then, as you've had a few of those, then you can trust the astrology a little bit more, because it's about truth and trust, and it's about your proofs. If you came to me, Marla, and I sat down and went, okay, in your past life you did this, and you could see how it's relevant to you in this life, that's all well and good. But if you came to me and had a past life regression, and you're the one going, oh, I'm doing this, I'm in ancient Egypt, I'm worshipping the goddess, then you would be able to resonate more with that because you saw the pictures, not me,
Yeah, and that's it. Personal experience puts the light bulb on over the heads, and then confirmation comes from someone else. It kind of seals the deal. Removes all doubt, basically. There's one other little thing that I want to mention before we have to leave, because you're probably dead tired from your New Year's celebration. Wells Angels. You have a group of lovely people around.
Yes,
and
I do. Very lucky.
And how people can become a Wells Angel.
You can join the site. There is a link on my website that takes you to the Wells Angels, run by lovely Emma. I love Wells Angels, and I have an Australian sort of group as well who work still through the Wells Angel sites, and I love their names because they're Western Australian Wells Angels, so they're called Wawas. The Wawas, they're great too, but right around the world, and they're massively supportive. And they give me some ideas and they give me feedback, and I don't often go into the forums as much as I probably could because I'm so hectic, but I do read them all the time. Under a cloak.
I can see you cloaked. That was one of your past lives. Yes, you walked around with a cloak and a pitchfork to ride on when nobody was looking.
When nobody was looking my way. I still do that.
Yeah, you do. I know. I've seen you, by the way. We witches have this sixth sense. We can kind of tell.
When I'm flying around.
I do. There's a certain, the atmospheric change when you fly around.
There's a whiff of cakes in the air. That's what it is.
I was just going to say that. Quit reading my mind. You must be psychic. Knock it off. There's definitely a whiff of cakes in the air. Well, David, we're just about ready to go, and I really want to thank you because I know this is a busy time of the year for you, but you're out there, with the website. People need to go to the website. There's so much information about so many things, about tarot, about astrology, about Kabbalah, about you, so many things there. And again, davidwells.co.uk. Get David's books, guys. Honestly, you won't be sorry. They're lovely books. And of course, he's a lovely writer, and a lovely person, so how could they be anything else but that?
There'll be a check in the post for you for all that.
Very much. Thank you very much. Oh my goodness. Mike just said that, and I know this is so funny, he said we've got 2 minutes closing unless we want to do another 2 hours. Now, we could do 2 days and not cover it all.
True.
But I hope you do come back, because I really, honestly, we need to get a show about Kabbalah, because that totally fascinates me. And I know we've talked about this before, but your schedule, my schedule, we're running in opposite directions all the time. But I really want to do that, so I would...
We'll try.
Yes, we will try very, very hard to do it. So thank you for spending your New Year's Eve, your New Year's Day, my New Year's Eve with me. And
it's been my pleasure.
And I want to thank everybody for listening, those that are live and those that are going to be listening on podcast. And I want to wish you and all of our listeners the brightest of blessings for 2010. Oh my God, that sounds so... Ooh, I'm not used to that. And until next time... Oh, wait a minute. Mike, come in and say Happy New Year to everybody, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can't leave you out.
Happy New Year, Marla.
Well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, David.
Happy New Year to you too, Mike.
Sounds like we're all going to have a great New Year.
Oh, a surprising one. An
Yeah.
adventure, hurrah.
Expanding horizons, expanding hips, expanding bellies.
As long as it's including cakes, we're all good.
Yes.
But Mike, I want to thank you so much for being a wonderful producer this year and putting up with my last minute things that I keep throwing at you and suffering me gladly. How's that?
It's been my biggest pleasure of the year.
That's not what I hear when you mumble under your breath, but that's okay.
Yeah. You need to get out more, Mike.
We have to go, Marla.
All right. Well, on the count of three, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
Happy
everybody.
New Year.
Blessed be, and merry meet again. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks. Please join us again next week at the same time for another great guest and more cauldron stirring. Any rebroadcast or other use of this program without explicit permission is strictly prohibited. Copyright 2024. The Mysterioso March by Kevin MacLeod is licensed through Incompetech.com.